Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Ma'am Lagarde. This is the continuation of our Group 3 report.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Atasha Cristina Figueroa, and I will be leading the report about critical period. First topic is arithmetization of mathematics. Noong late 19th century, maraming mathematicians ang naniniwala na all pure mathematics ay pwedeng i-reduce to arithmetic. Dahil sa desire na magkaroon ng matibay na pundasyon para sa mathematics, sinasabi nila na complex ideas in mathematics could be simplified naman using numbers at basic operations. Kaya ang goal nila ay makuha ang clarity at certainty sa kanilang mga gawa. Ang prosesong ito ay tinawag na arithmetization, kung saan ito ay tungkol sa pagbabago ng iba't ibang bahagi ng mathematics, particularly analysis. Si Richard Dedekind at David Hilbert naman ay ang mga important figures na tumulong sa idea na ang lahat ng pure mathematics ay dapat nakabatay sa set theory. Dedekind's work on the foundations of real numbers through his concept of Dedekind cuts ay isang magandang example. Habang si Hilbert naman ay nagtaguyod ng isang system kung saan lahat ng mathematical truths ay pwedeng makuha mula sa ilang basic principles o axioms. Ang goal nila ay pagsamahin ang mga mathematics sa isang coherent theoretical structures, ensuring that every mathematical statement could be traced back to fundamental principles rooted in set theory. Next slide po. Isa sa mga major achievements sa pagsisikap na magkaroon ng solid foundations para sa mathematics ay ang development of theory of real numbers. This involved creating a comprehensive system that includes both rational and irrational numbers, which are essential for understanding continuous quantities. Ang achievement na ito ay mahalaga dahil ito ay nagbigay ng mas komprehensibong sistema na sumasaklaw sa lahat ng kinds of numbers. Isa pa sa mahalagang achievement ay ang reduction of natural numbers to set theoretic foundation, kung saan ang natural numbers were defined not just as counting numbers but as elements within a larger mathematical framework based on set theory. This foundational perspective ay nagbibigay daan para maunawaan ang natural numbers batay sa kanilang relasyon sa iba pang set at mathematical objects, providing a greater rigor and consistency in mathematical reasoning. Both of these important advancements were largely credited to Cantor and Dedekind. Cantor's work on focus on properties and infinite sets and laid groundwork para sa modern set theory na nagpapahalaga para maunawaan ang structure ng real numbers. Ang kanyang mga idea tungkol sa different types of infinities at kung paano sila nauugnay sa real numbers provided a deeper insight into mathematical continuity. Ang mga kontribusyon ni Dedekind, particularly through his cuts, established a clear and systematic way upang tukuyin ang real numbers, ensuring na ang parehong rational at irrational numbers could coexist within a unified framework. Together, nabago nila ang mathematics by providing a more rigorous understanding of number systems and their foundations. Next po. Next topic is the emergence of paradox. Habang ang mga mathematicians ay naniniwala na abot na nila ang full rigor ng kanilang mga teorya, particularly sa set theory, nasimulang lumitaw ang mga paradoxes. These paradoxes highlighted contradictions within set theory itself, suggesting na ang mga assumption at principles na ginamit upang tukuyin ang set were flawed and incomplete. Ang paglitaw ng contradictions na ito ay nagpapahayag na ang quest for a complete and consistent mathematical framework were not only premature, but also deeply problematic, as it revealed inherent inconsistencies na maaaring magpahina sa entire structure of mathematics. George Cantor and Bertrand Russell ay dalawang mahalagang figures sa history ng set theory who independently identified significant paradoxes na nagbibigay diin sa seryosong katanungan tungkol sa foundation of mathematics. Si Cantor sa kanyang groundbreaking work noong 19th century laid the groundwork for modern set theory, but he also recognized potential contradictions within it. Sinabi niya na ang kanyang concerns about these paradoxes to contemporaries tulad ni David Hilbert. Binigyang diin ang pangangailangan para sa pag-iingat ng paggamit ng principle ng set theory. Samantala, si Russell's contribution naman came later when he published his famous paradox in 1901, kung saan pinapakita niya na any set by any unrestricted comprehension principle could lead to contradictions, kilala bilang set of all sets that do not contain themselves. Ang realization na ito not only challenged existing set theories, kundi nagdulot din ng pagdududa tungkol sa validity ng mathematical proofs derived from such theories. Russell's work prompted a re-evaluation ng principles underlying mathematics, leading to significant developments tulad ng type theory at axiomatization ni Ernest Zermelo. The implications of these discoveries were profound as they suggested that without addressing this contradiction, no mathematical proof could be considered entirely trustworthy. Next slide po. Next topic is transfinite numbers at Burali-Forty paradox. George Cantor introduced the concept of transfinite numbers. Ito ay isang uri ng numero that extends beyond the finite o hangganan, allowing for the comparison of infinite sets. Ang term na transfinite ay nagsimula sa Latin meaning beyond limits. At ang mga numbers na ito can be classified into two categories: transfinite cardinals or transfinite ordinals. Transfinite cardinals, ito ay nagka-quantify sa size of infinite sets, tulad ng set natural numbers or real numbers. Transfinite ordinals naman providing a ordering of infinite sets indicating their position in a sequence. Halimbawa, isa sa pangunahing halimbawa ng transfinite numbers ay ang ordinal number na omega. Ito ay kumakatawan sa pinakamaliit na transfinite ordinal at tumutukoy sa order type ng natural numbers na nakaayos sa bilang na 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Pinapakita nito na even though there are infinitely many real numbers, they can be ordered in a specific way. When we talk about omega plus 2 naman, we are referring to the ordinal that represents a greater order type than omega. Pinapakita nito ng position that comes after all natural numbers followed by two additional elements. This illustrates how ordinals can extend beyond simple counting into a complex arrangement. Next slide po. Na-realize ni Cantor na ang whole series ng transfinite ordinals can lead sa isang bagong ordinal na mas malaki kaysa sa buong set, na nangangahulugang kapag pinagsama-sama ang lahat ng transfinite ordinals, makakabuo ito ng isang ordinal na hindi kayang ipahayag sa mga umiiral na ordinals. Dahil dito, nagkaroon ng paradox kung saan ang bagong ordinal ay tinawag na ordinal or sometimes leads to paradox because it would need to be a greater than itself, expressed as less than O, which is logical contradiction. This is logically impossible and creates a contradiction as no number can be less than itself. The situation is formally recognized as the Burali-Forty paradox, which illustrates the inconsistencies in defining a set of all ordinals. Pinapakita dito na ang problema na lumitaw when attempting to categorize infinite sets and ordinals, leading to contradictions about their properties and relationships. Next slide po. Next topic naman is ang Cantor paradox and Alepse. Noong 1896 or 1897, natuklasan ni Cantor na ang Cantor paradox ay isa pang issue na may kinalaman sa transfinite sets. Ang paradox na ito ay nagmumula sa idea na kung merong set ng lahat ng cardinalities o laki ng infinity, magre-resulta ito sa isang contradiction. Ibig sabihin, kung susubukan nating i-define ang isang set na naglalaman ng lahat ng cardinal numbers, makikita natin na hindi ito possible dahil sa limitasyon ng set theory. Ang paradox na ito ay nagpapakita na ang koleksyon ng lahat ng possible sizes na infinity ay napakalaki at hindi ito maaaring maging isa sa mga infinite sizes sa koleksyon. Ang paradox ay kinalaman ng cardinal numbers, kilala rin bilang alephs, ang kumakatawan sa iba't ibang laki ng infinite sets. Sa madaling salita, ang cardinal numbers ay ginagamit upang ihambing ang laki ng sets kahit na sila ay infinite. Halimbawa, ang cardinality ng natural numbers ay mas maliit kaysa sa cardinality ng real numbers. Ang Cantor paradox ay nagpapakita na kung susubukan nating ipunin ang lahat ng cardinality sa isang set, makakahanap tayo ng contradiction dahil walang pinakamalaking cardinal number. Palaging may mas malaking cardinal number na mas maaaring makuha mula sa power set ng isang set. Dahil dito, pinapakita ng paradox na ang cardinal sets ay bumubuo ng isang proper class at hindi maaaring lahat ng i-collect at hindi maaaring lahat ay i-collect bilang element sa isang set. Kaya't nagbukas ito ng tanong tungkol sa mga pundasyon ng mathematics at ang likas na katangian ng infinity. Next slide. Kung ang isang set ay naglalaman ng lahat ng cardinal numbers, ang theory ni Cantor ay magbibigay ng bagong aleph. Ang resulta ng contradiction na ang bagong aleph ay kinakailangang mas malaki at mas maliit kaysa sa sarili nito. Ang simbolong aleph ay tinawag na aleph at ginamit ito sa set theory, halimbawa theory, upang tukuyin ang cardinality ng mga infinite sets. Ang halimbawa, ang aleph knot ay kumakatawan sa cardinality ng set ng natural numbers na nagpapahiwatig ng pinakamaliit na antas ng infinity. Ayon sa theory ni Cantor, walang pinakamalaking cardinal number dahil sa proseso ng pagkuha ng power sets na laging nagre-resulta sa isang cardinality na mas malaki kaysa sa original na set. Kung ipapalagay natin na mayroong set na ang lahat ng cardinal numbers, ang bagong aleph ay nilikha mula dito, ay dapat lumampas sa lahat ng cardinalities, kabilang sa sarili nito. Ang ganitong sitwasyon ay nagdudulot na hindi maaasahang contradiction dahil hindi maaaring maging mas malaki at mas maliit ang isang bagay kaysa sa sarili nito. Na-recognize ni Cantor na ang mga paradoxes na ito ay nagbibigay hamon sa mga logistic approaches ni Frege at Dedekind patungkol sa sets. Ibig sabihin, ang mga idea ni Frege at Dedekind ay nakabatay sa prinsipyo na ang lahat ng mathematical objects kabilang ang sets ay maaaring maipaliwanag at ma-define gamit ang lohika at mga axioms. Ngunit ang mga paradoxes tulad ng Burali 40 at ang idea ng set ng lahat ng cardinal numbers ay nagpapakita ng mga limitasyon ng kanilang pananaw. Dahil dito, kinilala ni Cantor na kailangan ng mga maingat at mas sistematikong pag-aaral tungkol sa mga set at infinity upang maiwasan ang ganitong inconsistencies. Kaya nagbibigay din ito ng pangangailangan para sa mas solidong axiomatic foundations ng mathematics. Next slide po. Next topic is inconsistent multiplicities. Cantor introduced a distinction between consistent and inconsistent sets as a way to address the paradoxes na lumitaw sa set theory. This distinction was aimed at clarifying the nature of sets and providing a framework for understanding the issues and inconsistencies that emerge from the board and sometimes ambiguous definitions of sets. Sa pamamagitan ng pag-categorize ng sets na ito, umaasa si Cantor na makahanap ng mas sistematikong paraan upang i-define ang mga sets at maiwasan ang contradictions na nakatutuklasan sa mga naunang theories. Consistent sets ay ang mga may malinaw at tiyak na definisyon. Ibig sabihin, naglalaman sila ng mga elemento na sumusunod sa mga principles of logic nang hindi nagdudulot ng anumang contradiction. Sa kabilang banda, ang inconsistent sets ay nagreresulta sa mga contradictions, kadalasan dulot ng pagsasalungat ng mga elements o kondisyon. Halimbawa, sa isang set na naglalaman ng parehong number at ang kanyang negation ay magiging inconsistent. Ang pag-unawa sa pagkakaibang ito ay mahalaga para sa mathematics dahil nakakatulong ito upang matukoy kung aling mga set ang maaasahan gamitan sa mathematical reasoning at kung aling set naman ay maaaring magdulot ng kalituhan o paradoxes. Gayunpaman, sa kabila ng pagsisikap ni Cantor, ang kakulangan ng malinaw na pamantayan para makilala ang consistent at inconsistent sets ay nagresulta sa ideyang ito na kadalasang tinuturing na higit pa sa isang verbal distinction kaysa sa practical na solution. In other words, habang ang ideya ng pagkakategorize ng set ay kaakit-akit sa konsepto, hindi ito nagbigay ng konkretong gabay o criteria para matukoy kung aling set ang inconsistent or consistent. Bilang resulta, ang lapit na ito ay nagpapakita bilang hindi sapat upang ganap na masolusyonan ang mga paradoxes sa set theory na nag-iiwan ng maraming tanong tungkol sa kung paano dapat i-define at gamitan ng maayos ang iba't ibang uri ng set sa mathematics. Next slide po. Aware of the limitations of his idea, pinili ni Cantor na wag i-publish ang huling papel tungkol sa paksa ng set theory. Naghanda siya ng isang papel na naglalaman ng ideya nito, ngunit hindi niya ito pinublish dahil takot na hindi ito tanggapin o dahil sa kanyang pag-aalinlangan tungkol sa mga nilalaman nito. Ang desisyong ito ay nagpapakita ng kanyang pag-aalala sa pagtanggap at pag-unawa sa kanyang mga ideya sa mas malawak na komunidad sa mathematics. However, despite not publishing a formal paper, Cantor's idea regarding the resolution of paradoxes were actively discussed in his correspondence with Dedekind and Hilbert. Sa kanilang komunikasyon, ibinahagi ni Cantor ang kanyang pananaw at natuklasan tungkol sa problema ng set theory, kabilang ang paradoxes na lumitaw sa kanyang trabaho. Ang mga liham na ito ay naging mahalagang bahagi sa kanilang intellectual legacy dahil nagbigay sila ng insight sa kanyang pag-iisip at kung paano niya sinubukang lutasin ang mga komplikadong issue na kinaharap niya sa larangan ng mathematics. That concludes my discussion po. I have activities sana but sayang hindi tayo nag-meet. So I'll be heading to the next reporter. Thank you.
So good day, everyone. I'm Francina Bayan. So let's start with Sir Mello and Russell's contribution. So inspired by Cantor's paradoxes, mathematicians like Hilbert and Dedekind uncovered additional set theory. So through Cantor's paradox, na-convince nito yung mga mathematicians na sila Hilbert and Dedekind na may mali or may kulang sa foundation ng set theory ni Cantor, which leads sa pag-formulate ni Hilbert ng sarili niyang paradox and he discussed it with his Gottingen circle. Kasi yung system nga before na once yung isang mathematician is may mali or may kulang sa discoveries niya, pwedeng yung ibang mathematician yung hanap doon and then yung credit is mapupunta na sa kanila since sa kanila yung mas latest. So Sir Mello discovered a paradox involving that all sets that are not member of themselves. That is written like that. Ganito siya isulat. And binabasa siya as R is the set of all sets X such that X is not a member of itself. At the same time, Russell identified a paradox that would become central to the debate, the Russell-Zermelo paradox. This paradox showed that if we could create a set based on whether or not it includes itself, contradiction would arise. So nagkaroon ng contradiction about dun sa paradox ni uh, Zermelo if yung R ba should be part of itself or not. So kapag sinabi kasi na yung R is part of itself, hindi pwede because based on the definition, X is not a member of itself. So R shouldn't be with itself para masabi na part siya ng set. Kapag sinabi naman na R is not a member of itself, hindi rin pwede because R should be part of the set. So medyo mahirap siyang intindihin. So kaya meron akong explanation pero medyo malayo siya pero hopefully mas maiintindihan natin yung contradiction na nangyayari. So merong barber na nagugupit ng buhok ng mga tao na hindi naman nagugupit ng sarili nilang buhok. So yung set na yon is naglalaman siya ng mga tao na hindi naman nagugupit ng buhok nila. So yung question dun is yung barber ba should be part of the set or not? So kapag sinabi kasi na yung barber is part ng set, edi lalabas na yung barber kapag sinabi na yung wait. If the barber cut his own hair kasi, hindi na dapat siya kasama sa set. Kasi, yung set is naglalaman lang naman ng mga tao na hindi nagugupit ng buhok nila. So kapag naman sinabi na yung barber is hindi ginugupit yung hair niya, magkakaroon ng contradiction dahil part yun ng work niya na maggupit ng buhok niya or ng buhok ng ibang tao. So kung babalikan natin yung sa R kanina, yung sa R ba is a member of itself or not, ganito yon yung kapag sinabi na yung R is member of itself, dun papasok yung sa barber na nagugupit siya ng sarili niyang buhok. Di ba sinabi doon na hindi siya magiging part ng set kasi um, hindi siya magiging part ng set kasi ang laman lang ng set is yung yung mga tao na hindi naman nagugupit ng buhok nila. So, ganun din dito. Hindi siya magiging part nung set kung kung part niya yung sarili niya. Kasi nga, R shouldn't be with itself para masabi na part siya. Kapag doon naman sa R is not a member of itself, doon naman yung sa barber na hindi nagugupit ng buhok niya. Di ba kasi sinabi doon na yung contradiction is mangyayari kasi yung barber is work niya na magupit ng buhok. So dito din magiging contradiction yun kasi yung R kapag sinabi na hindi siya member, contradiction yun kasi yung R should be part of the self. So ayun yung contradiction na nangyari dahil dun uh, sa paradox ni Zermelo. So this paradox directly challenged Dedekind's belief that sets that sets belief that sets could be logical foundation of mathematics. So yung sa set kanina, that is called a logical paradox. Hindi natin malalaman kung yung R ba is kabilang yung sarili niya or hindi. So to resolve this, mathematicians like Earl Zermelo and Abraham Frankel developed a more rigorous foundation for set theory that includes restrictions on set formation to avoid such paradoxes. This ensures that no set is a member of itself. Next is Frege's logical crisis. In 1902, Russell communicated this paradox to Frege, who was working on the logical foundation of arithmetic. Frege realizes that his logic-based approach to arithmetic could not accommodate set theoretic paradoxes. So after malaman ni Russell yung tungkol sa Russell's paradox, sinabi niya agad yun kay Frege, who is working on the logical foundation of arithmetic. Ang kaso yung paradox ni Russell is salungat naman sa ginagawa ni Frege na magiging cause ng contradiction. So it means na yung ginagawa ni Frege is may mali or may butas yung pinaka-foundation nito. By the way, is working through logic-based kasi. He questioned whether concepts like class and set could could be used consistently, leading him to doubt the very foundation of arithmetic. Frege's logical system, once considered rigorous, could not handle this contradiction. So dahil dun sa nalaman niya about sa paradox ni Russell, na-question ni Frege kung kaya bang ma-solve through logic ang arithmetic because he believes that numbers can be defined through logic. However, the paradox directly tells him the limitations on how logic can handle the concept itself. Next is wider recognition of paradoxes. The publication of Frege's Guan-Guiset-Chu 1903 and Russell's The Principle of Mathematics 1903 exposed the set theoretic paradoxes to the mathematical world. So yung laman ng Frege's Guan-Guiset-Chu ay it is a major contribution to the development of formal logic and the foundation of arithmetic. The work aims to establish the foundation of arithmetic using a purely logical framework based on Frege's theory of logicism. Yung kay Russell naman, yung Principle of Mathematics that is also published on the year 1903. In this book, Russell attempts to establish the foundation of mathematics and defend logicism, the view that mathematics can be reduced to logic. So mathematicians realized that these paradoxes involve basic logical concepts like negation and set membership. So yung negation, it is a logical operation that reverses the truth value of statement. So for example, the statement says that X is a member of set A. The negation of this is X is not a member of set A. So literal nababaligtarin lang yung truth value ng isang statement. So yung set membership naman is a fundamental concept in set theory, a branch of mathematical logic that deals with collections of objects called set. The concept of membership defines the relationship between an element and a set. Specifically, an element is said to belong to or be a member of a set if it is contained in that set. So for example, we have a set A and element X. So we can ask if X is a member of set A. So of course, X is a member of set A. So another example is A is equal to 1, 2, 3. So if we ask if A is a member of set A, yes, it is kasi ang A is equal to 1, 2, 3. Kung tatanungin naman kung si 4 a member ng set A, di ba hindi kasi 1, 2, 3 lang. So it will be 4 is not a member of set A. So the Russell-Sermero paradox demonstrated that certain sets could not exist without leading to contradiction, fundamentally undermining set theory and logic. So ito yung kanina, yung contradiction, kung kasama ba ni R yung sarili niya or hindi. So next is foundational crisis in set theory. Different mathematicians had conflicting viewpoints, so Cantor rejected the idea of universal set but had no precise foundation. Cantor, he had a more metaphysical view of sets, believing that infinite and unbounded nature of sets. Despite his sharp insights, he couldn't provide a precise foundation for set theory. He recognized the need to reject the idea of universal set, a concept supported by Frege and Dedekind, because it led to paradoxes and contradiction. Cantor's work paved the way for later development that would address these issues more rigorously. Next is Frege and Russell based their work on the principle of comprehension, which led to contradiction. Frege and Russell based their work on the principle of comprehension, which asserts that any definable collection can be considered a set. However, this principle was shown to be contradictory due to Russell's paradox. The paradox arises when consisting the set of all sets that do not contain themselves, leading to a contradiction. This contradiction demonstrated that the principle of comprehension cannot be accepted as a foundation for set theory, prompting revisions in logical systems. Dedekind avoided the principle but assumed an absolute universe as a set, admitting arbitrary subsets. Dedekind avoided the principle of comprehension by not assuming that any definable collection could be a set. However, he still assumed an absolute universe of sets, admitting arbitrary subsets within this universe. This approach allowed for a more structured framework, but it still relied on the existence of a universal set which later set theories. Next are Mello-Frankel would avoid prevent paradoxes. Lastly is the arbitrary subset. Cantor and Dedekind were inspired by the idea of arbitrary subsets but didn't formalize it. This was connected to their understanding of analysis within the Dirichlet-Riemann tradition of arbitrary function. Cantor and Dedekind were mathematicians who worked on the foundation of set theory and real analysis. They were inspired by the idea of arbitrary subsets, meaning they thought about sets without specific structure or constraints. However, they didn't fully formalize this concept at the time. Their work was connected to analysis, especially within the Dirichlet-Riemann tradition, which dealt with arbitrary functions that were not necessarily simple or well-defined in every case. This tradition influenced their thinking about how to rigorously handle different types of mathematical objects, even though even though even those that were arbitrary or difficult to define. So that's the end of my report. Next is Mr. Carl Pestano.